I do want to ask you, the governor was coming, and then he wasn't coming, and then he's coming, and now he's not coming.
Right.
What is going on here?
So what I was told yesterday by the governor's office was due to the budget. The budget's due next week. We have to have it passed.
I hear it's
by.
Bad. I hear
it's bad. There's some
Yeah.
things that are going on. The Senate is not going along with a few things. The Assembly's got some things that we're concerned about. So negotiations aren't going as great as they should be right now. We're still hopeful we can get something done by next week. But that is the reason why the governor said he needs to be in Albany discussing the budget with the Senate leader and the speaker, and that's the reason they canceled the visit today. That's what I'm told.
Okay.
I am also told that post-budget he will be here in Utica sharing some news with us on different things that he had planned to come here today and do. So.
Well, you don't need it. I'm going to share it at 7:30.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. and as things, as time goes on, a lot of these announcements start to leak out. You saw in Times Union this week announcements that have been leaking out. So it's all going to happen.
Our gripe is we're told, please don't say anything. It could destroy the deal.
Right.
And then we got to sit there and watch the Times Union break every single story that we knew the answer to. It's just not. That's what I'm saying. Today's enough. Not to drag you into it, and I know you're in a position that you're where you have to be.
Well, he and I have always had, we have a contentious relationship. It's gotten a little bit smoother, and this is a part of the rebuilding process. Is him coming back to Utica to share some news with us, and it's disappointing for everybody. And I hope he just sticks to his promise that he's coming back after budget.
Two things. One, Bill, you're absolutely right. How do we ignore stories when the communities around us are reporting on them? Right. We look foolish if we don't acknowledge it. Secondly, I'm hoping that in this case, like when he came for Nano, this is what we hope to do in the next several years. We get the impression that these are done deals. So the idea that announcing it before he gets to say it could scrap the deal, I think, is kind of ridiculous. What's he going to say to the business owner?
Right.
Well, we were going to put you here, but they announced it before I came to town, so we're actually going to move you downstate.
I don't want you to come after all.
Why, if he knew these two important things, the budget and the health care vote?
I don't want to get on this road with the Assemblyman because it's putting you in a bad position.
Okay.
No, it's fine. No, look, I'm disappointed as everybody is, and I understand the frustration of the media of not being able to report on some of this stuff when you see. I think one of the big problems is you got SUNY Poly. They asked where these leaks are coming from. It's leaks.
Right.
I think there's people at SUNY Poly in Albany who are privy to some of this information who are putting it out there.
They're tight with a reporter or somebody at the Times Union, and it's getting out, and we're supposed to sit there and just stay quiet. So beyond that, but I do want to say I am hearing some rumblings. Like maybe something is happening today after all.
I'm hearing similar rumblings that there will still be some announcements today. We'll see what happens. This is all last minute. I heard last night, like 9:30, that be prepared that there might be still some announcements today, and we look forward to see what happens this morning.
And that announcement would involve.
I hope it involves some nano. I want people. We've been promised and promised and promised. We had to start filling these buildings up. The Quad C is sitting there empty right now. We need to get that building filled up. We need to get people working in that building, and I'm hopeful that this is the announcement that will start to put some occupancy in that building.
All right. So something possibly coming today after all. I like that. All right. Let's. Last night you put out on Facebook a list of the nursing homes that you say will be hurt tremendously by not just the Medicaid issue, but the whole reform, or what do we call it? Repeal now, or
repeal,
Trump
replace,
care? I don't know what to call it.
Ryan care,
but it's going to vote today, and if this thing passes, you say we're going to get hurt.
This, first you have to acknowledge that there's so much that can be done in Congress right now to try and improve health care, try to improve the Affordable Care Act. But this bill that the Republicans have put out is doing exactly the opposite. It's raising premiums. You look at all the groups, all the studies that have come out. It's going to be raising premiums. It's going to be taking people off of health insurance. And it is particularly damaging to New York State with this whole Collins amendment that has been introduced by our representative and other upstate House Republicans. So if this thing goes through as is, you will see massive cuts into the state budget. You will see massive cuts to hospitals throughout the state. $28 million in cuts a year to hospitals within the New York 22nd District, $48 million in cuts to nursing homes in that district over if this bill goes through. And that money is I don't know where that money is going to be made up from. So how anyone can vote for this package who is now a current representative of this state is really doing a disservice to New York State and to the residents here. That's why you have groups like AARP coming out, disability advocates. This bill hurts people. The lower income you are, the bigger loser you are under this package. It doesn't benefit anyone here. I think they should scrap it, go back to the drawing board, bring in some Democrats, and fix the problems with the ACA. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That was the problem and we're going to talk to Mike Arcuri later on and this hour. And that was the problem with Obamacare is they forced it down. They forced the vote. They made it happen. They never brought in any Republicans. And look what ends up happening. The moment what do they think? The Republicans were the party was dead.
Never going to win
Left
again.
for dead. They're done. There will no longer be a Republican Party. Well, look where we are today. And now this is happening. I think Republicans have an opportunity to do it right and not make the stupid mistakes the Democrats made 8 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever that was.
If there's anything the American people want more, it's people in Congress and all levels of government working together, whether you're Democrat or Republican. There's no Democrats involved in this bill. They're repeating the mistakes. It's getting, to try and appease this far-right Freedom Caucus. They're making it worse off. The CBO came out again yesterday saying that the changes that have been made this week have done nothing to improve the deficit. They've done nothing to improve coverage. So what are we doing here? Let's sit down, go back to the drawing board, bring everyone together, and fix the problems. Let's bring the moderates together. The moderates are being hijacked by the extremes. We want to bring everyone together to fix the problems with the Affordable Care Act, not just scrap everything together.
Yeah, 30% of America is running America right now.
It's crazy.
And the blame needs to be on Congress for the gerrymandering, where they don't need 70% of America.
No.
They only need an extreme portion of the party. You know who benefits most, in my opinion? Who benefits most if this thing doesn't pass today? Is President Obama. Because he's saying, listen, this either passes today or we're going to stick with Obamacare.
Right.
President wins.
Right. But there are problems with the Affordable Care Act. I think everyone, no matter on what side you're on, acknowledges that.
Sure there
and
are.
we have to fix those problems. This bill doesn't fix the problems.
Yeah.
It makes the problems much worse. To be able to say that health plans don't have to cover emergency room visits or maternity visits or pediatric care, it's unbelievable to see an average senior's premiums go up $12,000 a year. I don't know how anyone could vote for this plan. The House Republicans in New York are trying to say, well, we put this provision in here for mandate relief on the counties. Yeah, but you're still kicking 24 million people off their health insurance. You're still raising premiums for everybody. You're doing nothing to improve the deficit. So you've campaigned on this promise for 8 years now, and this is the best you can do to try and deliver upon that, is kicking people off their health insurance? It's a bad plan.
Congresswoman quite critical of you last night on TV.
Well, look, you're a representative of New York State. You're there to represent the constituents in New York State, and you have New York State saying to you, you're going to take away money from hospitals, from nursing homes. You're going to, services for children with autism, pediatric care, mental health and addiction treatment. These are the kind of things that are going to get scrapped under this plan because healthcare companies don't have to cover it anymore. How can you go back to your constituents and say, this is the best plan we can do? You're going to literally blow a hole through the state budget that is going to affect hospitals, nursing care, everything across the state.
And one of this area, of course, one of the larger in the state when it comes to older population. And our poverty level is one of the highest, if not the highest, in the state, Manaski.
She's critical of you? Well, I missed that part.
I think basically over the fact that you've been
a little outspoken on this topic.
Yeah.
Well, she's critical because I think that they believe that this amendment, which now brought some of the upstate Republicans on board to support this, is the way to go. But if you look at what this amendment's going to do, that's where the cuts come in for our hospitals, for our nursing homes. I don't know how we can let that stand and not say anything. We're just going to sit back and absorb a $6 billion hit here in New York State, and where's that money going to come from?
Well, the problem is that I think that the concept of relieving the counties of this burden of Medicaid is a great concept.
Absolutely.
But let's call it what it is. This is a joke. All it is a diversion because it allows these Congress people to vote by way of the president.
Right.
And it takes the pressure off because they're going to say, well, I'm doing it for this issue of this. I don't think this ever passes through the Senate anyway.
No.
So it's really more of a diversion than anything else. But the thought of, would you agree that releasing the counties from this burden of Medicaid and putting it thoughtfully with reform back onto the state with a plan would be a good move.
Right. This is the old switcheroo to try and get the
Switcheroo.
support of the upstate
describing
Republicans
it. Yes.
here. There is a way to do this to provide property tax relief to counties. There are bills in the Assembly and the Senate that do it in a more deliberative, thoughtful process over a period of years, not pulling the rug out from underneath the state to try and accomplish this, which is exactly what this Republican plan does.
What happens if this thing passes? What happens to the hospital project?
Well, I think everything's on the table right now.
Anything involving money is going to be on the table.
St. E's, you can look at the figures on my Facebook page. St. E's, St. Luke's, Little Falls Hospital, Bassett. You can see what they will lose in funding each year if this plan goes through.
Yeah.
Where's that funding going to come from? So it's really damaging healthcare. That's why I can't find anyone that's for this. You talk to hospitals, you talk to folks at the nursing homes. How are they going to absorb the hit like this? They can't do it.
Yeah.
When you talk about the loss of funding for the hospitals and nursing homes, I think you said $28 million for one, $48 million for another, roughly $70 million, let's say.
I'm just this area.
Just in this area. I'm looking at the Congresswoman's Twitter feed right here. She's claiming that counties in the 22nd would save $160 million a year. Is it possible to take that savings and then just fund the nursing homes and the hospitals from the county level? Is that an option?
It's not an option because she's trying to make the assumption that because of this Collins amendment, they will now realize this savings in the counties. But you're going to have a $6 billion hit on the state of New York.
If we weren't a part of New York State, this would be awesome because we would be out of this scot-free. But because we're a part of New York State, that money's going to have to be made up somewhere.
New York State is hit particularly hardest under this plan that's being debated right now in the House. It's far more devastating in New York State than it is across any other state.
And when you really look at health care, and you look at it in an independent way, New York State probably has handled Obamacare, because we had a program in place prior, handled it better than any other state in the country. It has actually been probably more smooth here than anywhere else.
It has been smoother here. There's states that have embraced it. There's been states that have fought it, and you see in those states that's probably where it's not working the best.
Yeah.
Look, I am the first to acknowledge there are issues that need to be fixed in Obamacare. Premiums are still going up. We need to make sure that we're still increasing access to health care. But providing more health care to people, getting them into early intervention so that you're preventing them from going into the hospitals when it's too late is the way to go to try and get people covered. This is going to reduce that. 24 million people are going to lose their coverage if this plan goes through. Almost 3 million people in New York State are going to lose their coverage. That's not good for the Americans.
And I truly believe that part of the reason why premiums have gone up, part of the reason why it's not working, is this is Obama's fault by not including Republicans. It became a political issue. There are people defying right now, saying, I'm not getting in. And the only way Obamacare works is if everybody gets in.
You got to have buy-in from all parties.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be doing with this new bill. We should be having Democrats and Republicans sitting down together, bringing all the moderates in to try and work on a compromise to get something passed that's better for the American people.
All right, possible announcement coming today. That could be good news.
Possible.
Even though we've been told there isn't an announcement,
Yes.
there might be something today.
There might be something today.
That's positive news.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Don't listen to the radio at 7:30 because I'm gonna.
You need deniability.
I'm going rogue. You know nothing.
I wasn't here.